$123 million handed out to ineligible companies, 186 conflicts of interest, and 76 million taxpayer dollars given out to well-connected Liberals. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, it's clear that this Prime Minister isn't worth the cost or the corruption of his billion-dollar green slush fund. Conservatives are calling for the evidence of corruption to be handed over to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. So, will the NDP Liberal government end the cover-up and call in the Mounties?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation.
Mr. Speaker, the Sustainable Development Technology Canada is an independent organization that's been around for over 20 years, was supported by all members of Parliament at the time. I understand that the Conservatives' opposition to fighting climate change gives them an ideological bent against this organization. But notwithstanding that, the governance structure of this organization, when we learned of mismanagement, we investigated, we triggered numerous independent reviews, including the Auditor General's report, which we collaborated with, and now we're actioning a new governance framework for the organization.
A member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
You almost couldn't hear that answer over the paper shredders that are running over at the billion-dollar green slush fund. We know that in 2017, the Auditor General gave a clean bill of health to this organization that Conservatives stood up to fund clean green tech. But the Liberals got into office and decided to line the pockets of the well-connected Liberal friends. And what did we see with the Auditor General report that Conservatives called for and these Liberals opposed? 186 conflicts of interest and over $100 million being misappropriated. Conservatives want them to end the cover-up. Will they turn over the evidence to the RCMP, yes or no?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Innovation.
As soon as allegations of mismanagement on Sustainable Development Technology Canada surfaced, our government acted immediately. We triggered an independent review of the governance model, an independent review of the HR practices in the organization. We issued a management response action plan. We've done everything right along the way to address the concerns that rightfully Canadians should expect the highest standards of governance when dealing with public funds. That's exactly what we're doing and committed to, and the organization is going to be reconstituted within the National Research Council to have better oversight.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, for years now, Canadians are finding it very hard to survive, but the Liberal Party's cronies are enjoying. They are mismanaging the SDTC. And the Liberal Party cronies have managed to grant themselves contracts, $123 million, that were distributed with no respect of the rules. We need the documents. Will the government allow the RCMP to have access to all documents so we can finally shed a light on this scandal? The Honourable Minister for Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This question has already received a number of answers. The Canadian government will always work with the RCMP and other organisations. What the member doesn't know yet is that this week was one of great news for Canadians, with the first reduction of interest rates in years. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Now, Mr. Speaker, let's be serious. Is the Minister aware that this Liberal Green Slush Fund scandal sounds like the sponsorship scandal in the past? I'm not the one who said this. It's a official that said that the government is wholly incompetent. Will the Minister stand again to say, well, perhaps he didn't see something? The Canadians want the truth. They want all documents to be sent to the RCMP. Before I pass to the Minister, I would like to encourage all members, especially ministers, to not interrupt when anyone else has the floor. The Honourable Minister for Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable colleague talks about misinformation. The only information that was miscommunicated is that all the reports have clearly indicated that there is no mismanagement. Let us talk about misinformation. My colleague comes from the Quebec City region. Could he ask his leader to apologize for having duped and discouraged the people of his region to sign up to the new dental care system? Before we move on to the next question, I'd like to remind the member for Port-Neuf-Jacques-Cartier that he's already had the opportunity to speak. I ask members to only speak when they are called upon.
Other day, and we're still waiting for the Minister of Employment to introduce us to Other Randy, the one who was cashing checks from a company that was lobbying the government, winning contracts, and using the minister's name to do it. That's not allowed. It's illegal. The text messages reveal that someone named Randy at the minister's company was part of a $500,000 fraud. So will the employment minister finally get up on his feet and tell everyone the super secret identity of the Other Randy?
It's the shirtless Randy from Trailer Park Boys. Cheeseburger Randy.
The Honourable Minister for Employment and Workforce Development.
Mr. Speaker, I am all too happy to set the record straight. I have had no role in this company since being elected in 2021. Regarding the day in question, I have shared my phone records to the committee and with the commissioner, which confirms that I am not the person in this story. Mr. Speaker, I have said it. The companies have said it. And now I've proved it. I was not involved. Mr. Speaker, let's get back to working for Canadians and focusing on the real issues.
Full of crap, Randy. We don't believe you. That's the real Randy.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
The minister hasn't proved a single thing.
Yep.
Looking for who he called the Other Randy. I'm pretty confident that we don't actually have to look very far because the Other Randy might be right here. The one who broke the Conflict of Interest law, the one who broke the Lobbying Act, and who broke the Criminal Code. So will the employment minister from Edmonton let us know if Randy is in the room?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister just answered that question.
Shit.
From Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Speaker, here's a story that is a bit randy about a Liberal's excuse that seemed just too handy.
Oh, yeah, I love when he does this.
They just could not resist, but if you're going to blame someone, be sure they exist. The employment minister continues to blame the mysterious Other Randy for his ethical trouble. Meanwhile, after 9 years, all this country's problems have actually been caused by the Other Justin. Will the person responsible for this scandal, will the real Randy please stand up? Stand up!
I'm going to encourage members not to skate too close to the line in terms of referring to other members by their first names. I understand that that on the first name that was mentioned, that would made sense, but it's the second name that was mentioned that is just skating a little bit too close. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
So, Mr. Speaker, we just got an interesting little behind-the-scenes insight into how this works over there. The Minister stood up and comprehensively swatted away all these questions. What followed was 2 more questions that those members are so proud of wittily writing in the morning and rehearsing in front of the mirror that they just have to get it off their chest, Mr. Speaker, even though it was answered 2 minutes ago. That's what's going on in this House. They don't want to talk about lower interest rates. They don't want to talk about 8 out of 10 Canadians being better off. That opposition just wants to talk about their stuff.
What did I miss yesterday?
Contrary to the minister's representation, he has not turned over all of his phone records and text messages. Text messages reveal that someone named Randy from a company that the Minister of Employment has a 50% interest in was involved in a business deal, now mired in allegations of fraud. The minister says it wasn't him, it was some other Randy. Trouble is, no one can identify who that other Randy is. So has the minister in the past 48 hours pored over the employment records of the handful of employees at his company to find Randy?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Just when we thought we had heard from the final member who was practicing all morning in the mirror, up stops another one to look straight into the camera over there and relate a question that was just answered several minutes ago. I think these people over there need to be a little more agile. The minister has answered the question.
The honourable member from St. Albert, Edmonton.
Mr. Speaker, if the minister is for Randy in the text messages, then the minister broke the law, including contravening the Conflict of Interest Act. It shouldn't be difficult to find the other Randy if he exists. If the minister didn't break the law, then where's Randy?
Where's the Randy they're talking about? What are they scared of?
I just want to remind the member that I'm over here, not over there. But, Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker didn't like that.
You got a crooked minister, and that's all you got? Wow.
Order.
You're laughing.
Order.
Crooked minister, and you're laughing.
I'd like to remind all members
You got crooks over there.
that questions should be addressed through the chair, but members can look where they wish to ask or answer questions. The Honourable Minister, Leader of the Government, has 24 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, the minister has responded comprehensively to all of these questions. And what I find a little off-putting in the tone and tenor of the member's question is that in this place we are all to presume each other to be honourable. That is not what that member did, and that member should carefully consider the kinds of words that he uses in this House.
The honourable member from Sturgeon Park,
Mr. Speaker, Superman.
Sturgeon River Parkland.
Randy. We know the identity of these fictional characters, but Canadians want to know who's Randy. The mysterious Randy is in control of a fraudulent company called Global Health Imports, and his business partner, Stephen Anderson, says that he's a public official. And by pure coincidence, the Minister of Employment by the same name founded Global Health Imports and is a 50% shareholder. Now, we just heard the minister say that he's not involved, but isn't he at all curious about who this Randy fellow is that's committing fraud at a company he owns 50% of? Why won't he tell us who this Randy is?
Should be absolutely furious.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Well, I'm glad, Mr. Speaker, that this segment has been brought to you by what goes on in the House of Commons. Because here we have yet another Conservative member who toiled over this witty text all morning, looked in the mirror, hoped the leader was there, because if the leader were there, he might be noticed by him. Then he's going to put it on Facebook. But what he won't do is put this answer on Facebook, happily saving me from 1,000 trolls online. But this member should know better. He asked those questions.
Oh my God. It's so cringe.